like to call the Lancaster County Board of Supervisors April 25th meeting to order. Mr. Bellows, lead us in pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. At this particular time, we're going to start with our special presentations. And we're going to have an update on the 2024 General Assembly. Delegate Hillary. Thank you, ma'am, for coming.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. Sorry to the folks in the audience, you should have put me at the end for my hour-long presentation. So I apologize in advance, but so glad to be here. So grateful to come to you all, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. This was supposed to be a session recap, but we're not done. But wanted to go ahead and at least give you some feedback of my first session in Richmond as your delegate, and kind of just give you what I can, even though we're maybe 85% there, but not 100% there yet. So thank you so much. This session, we voted on more than 2,000 bills in the General Assembly in our 60-day time period. Regarding an assortment of issues ranging from economic development, education, school safety, mental health, veterans affairs. The list goes on, many of the things that you all deal with every day here in the county as well. I heard from constituents. I got to see some constituents. That was certainly my most favorite part, was seeing the folks that came to Richmond and reached out while we were there about very similar issues. Folks in Lancaster that reached out regarding taxes, cost of goods, workforce shortages, small business support, farming, social media regulation, and fishing. I was privileged to serve on the Ag and Natural Resources Committee, as well as serve on the Committee of Finance. Everyone asked me what was the most surprising thing that you saw in session, and I would say I didn't know how many animal bills I would hear in ag, but certainly we got our fair share of cat and dog bills in Ag Committee this year. I also was very blessed to be appointed to serve on a couple of conferee committees, one of which was regarding the sales tax holiday that we passed again for the state of Virginia, as well as blue catfish funding, which is certainly very important to our region. I supported amendments in the budget and championed a couple of budget amendments for oyster restoration, as well as after-school programming that we put in. I say after school, but it's actually before and after-school programming now, and summer school programming to get that in the budget. Since COVID, that wasn't in there permanently, so we were working to advocate for that as a permanent inclusion into the state budget. We also worked to incorporate funding for the soil and water conservation efforts for their educational outreach with schools, which is certainly very important in our area as we live around water, but not a lot of kids maybe have even put their toe in water. I had several bills. I'll give you a brief synopsis of the ones that didn't succeed, because that's not the exciting ones, but we did introduce some bills that I think we'll bring back again that didn't succeed this session. Small business paperwork bill, which was really to streamline the processes for small businesses in order to start up and get funding and seek information from state agencies. We did a bill specifically in Northumberland County, which affects Lancaster a little bit, regarding their split precinct for elections. Everyone was really on board with it. I thought it was going to pass. It would have really allowed to streamline the paperwork process for folks that have to do split precincts for elections. That if there is no change, they don't have to continue the paperwork burden at the county level. We'll bring that one back again. I had superintendents as well as sheriffs ask me to bring forward a bill regarding disorderly conduct in schools. That did not pass this year. We did some FOIA legislation as well as some studies for aquafauna and the Rappahannock. On the flip side, we had a lot of legislation that passed, which I'm really proud of, and grateful for bipartisan support in the General Assembly. And the governor has already signed all of these pieces of legislation. I did a bill brought forth by the Commonwealth's attorneys regarding larceny and embezzlement. Currently, if you are charged with larceny and embezzlement, you have to charge and try that at the home of the accused, the home jurisdiction of the accused. Well, in today's day and age, banks especially supported this because so much embezzlement is done online, and you can't always figure out the jurisdiction because locations are spoofed online, and it leads the banks on the hook for the payment because the prosecutor can't prosecute it because they can't figure out where the crime is done, or perhaps it's done in multiple jurisdictions, in a Walmart parking lot, then at their house, then in McDonald's. This allows the crime to be charged at the home of the victim. That passed and was signed by the governor. We also did a bill with the Department of Forensic Science updating the privacy rules for DNA so that now when that is put online and utilized, whether it's the DNA of a victim or the accused, and that has to be remained private. We also modernized that process, and that was passed and signed by the governor. We did a bill for conservation officers. My bill got rolled into another delegate's bill. I was proud to champion this. I have 3 state parks in District 67, one here right in this county. Conservation officers are the only law enforcement officers that are not included in the Valor's retirement program. And we wanted to include them in that program, as now it becomes a very competitive agency where lots of law enforcement may change because of retirement plans. This bill would include conservation officers into that state retirement program. We also did a resiliency bill, creating a chief resiliency officer to help with resiliency efforts, flood improvement, and align that with the state. And funding, federal funding to streamline that so it gets to localities like you all. And then, of course, I call it the Right to Fish bill. That's my own vernacular that was recently passed. That allows a commercial waterman to fish as they are given the right to do without harassment or interference. And someone can be charged with harassing or interfering with a commercial waterman while they are doing their work. And if so, it's punishable by jail time as well as restitution, which was really important for our bill. So if you go and steal crabs out of somebody's crab pot, cut someone's net, damage their boat, and you're found guilty, then you can be charged. You can be charged and fined restitution for that. So that bill was certainly one that really resonated here in Northumberland and the lower part in Lancaster counties, as we have so many commercial watermen that we want to protect with their right to work. So a lot of great things on deck that we were able to accomplish. But now here we are after we convene, and we went back to session after we got bills signed to go into budget mode. As you all are working on your budget, so is the state. And I supported a lot of the budget that the House did. The House had a totally separate budget than the Senate. The Senate had a totally separate budget than the administration. I said as we were leaving session before we were going in to reconvene, the quote of, "We have a long way to go and a short time to get there." You all may know that song. I think now we still have a short time to get there, but a much shorter route. After leaving reconvene, we really came together and all parties said, we need to sign a budget for Virginia, but where we are right now with our appropriations, we're not going to get there. So let's regroup and reset up, and we will go into special session on May the 13th. So hopefully we'll have a budget within 48 hours of that. There's still a lot of great things on the table with the budget, and a lot of things I think that the conferees will work on to fight for all Virginians in order to get things back on the table without raising taxes. And that's certainly the goal. So I supported a lot of the appropriations, which provided funding for education, Project Ceasefire, broadband access, workforce development, STEM programs, additional education funding for non-core STEM and CTE programming, nursing home care. All of those things will still remain in the budget, just hopefully ironing out the details of that, and we'll go back into session and hopefully be a little bit of a shorter time frame finalize it, as I know a lot of folks are anxiously awaiting that, the school systems and state agencies as well. So I think a compromise is on the horizon, and we'll see where everything lands. I did just want to say, part of this is just to know that if there's something that we can do and I can do personally, please don't ever hesitate to reach out. That's why I'm here. We still have work to do, and I'm grateful to go to work and get it done. So if there's ever anything that I can do, please don't ever hesitate to reach out, because that's what we're here for, and glad to work with you all and together with you all to get things accomplished. So please don't ever hesitate to reach out for that. I'm happy to answer questions if you have any, today or any day. So I certainly don't want to hold up your meeting process, but happy to answer anything, and thank you so much for all that you all do in the service that you all provide. I'm so grateful for it as well. So thank you for that.
Gentlemen, you have any questions?
I just have a brief comment. Well, thank you for coming and being here. I don't think we've ever had a delegate come and give us an update, so it's really a pleasure for your partnership with local government. The other question I have, we were a little bit disappointed in Governor Youngkin's veto of the school infrastructure sales tax bill. We
Yes.
hope you will continue to advocate and support whatever possible veto override or future bills that come down that will give us that tool to potentially allow our voters to decide how to fund school infrastructure, which is a big problem.
Yes, we have had conversations, actually had conversations with some of your local leaders about school funding. Obviously, I've spoken with the governor and his administration about it, as well as appropriation leadership, because Lancaster and there's some other counties that are very similar that have a unique circumstance with funding and how that is come from the state. That composite index score obviously is certainly unique in this county specifically. So that does not fall on deaf ears. We will certainly work on it. Governor Youngkin even said to me, hey, I know what you're talking about, composite index, Lancaster County. And I was like, yes, sir. So we understand that that's certainly an issue here, as well as you all are working on your own construction project. So thank you for that.
Anyone else?
Hillary, I was so disappointed we lost the Capitals and the Wizards. I thought they were coming here. So let's keep looking for another NFL or NBA team. Or something.
Yes.
We need to
Okay.
get them here.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're not alone in that. There was a lot of people that were certainly disappointed in that, and how that played out.
Call Jerry Jones, see if the Cowboys are coming here.
Hey, I would much prefer the Cowboys, actually.
Me too.
Don't put that on record.
I know.
Keep that off. But just being honest, I'm a Nationals fan. Does that count? Or
You lost one, but won one. We're still there.
Anyone else? All right, thank you very much.
thank you all. Thank you so much.
Okay, now we're getting ready for the public input. You have a sign-up sheet. During the public input sessions, you have 3 minutes, so get right to the point, say what you need to say, and,
I didn't know we had
Ed,
to sign up.
let him
I
sign.
would like to speak, but I didn't know I had to sign up.
But raise your hand after it's done, and he'll acknowledge you.
You see it? All right. You have 3 minutes to speak, and at the end of 2 minutes, I'll raise up this sign letting you know that you have 1 minute left. So get right to the point. You can say a lot in 3 minutes. Get right to the point and let us know what's on your mind. Okay, at this particular time, Mr. Marchetti, Anthony.
Good evening. My name is Anthony Marchetti. I'm here tonight on behalf of Docks of the Bay, a marine contractor, and the marine construction industry in Lancaster County. The owner, Scotty George, was unable to be here tonight because he's coaching the Lancaster high school baseball team and hopefully beating Northumberland as we speak. I'm here tonight to ask the Board of Supervisors to consider amending the current zoning ordinance that defines the allowable size of a residential pier in Lancaster County. The county currently allows substantially less square footage of dock platform than the state of Virginia, which I'll refer to moving forward as VMRC, Virginia Marine Resource Commission. All surrounding counties, Matthews, Middlesex, Essex, Westmoreland, Richmond, Northumberland, all of their ordinances match that of VMRC. And again, so all those counties, VMRC allows more than we currently allow in Lancaster County. There would be a positive economic impact to the marine contractors who operate in Lancaster County because we could build larger docks for our clients. Larger docks for the contractors translates to more workers needed. There would be a positive impact to the county because of potentially higher value of the larger docks captured in assessed value. There'd be some administrative cost savings where county employees would not have to then scrutinize a JPA application that VMRC has already approved. The county ordinance matched that of VMRC. There'd really be no work to be done when it got to the county level. Having the Lancaster's ordinance match surrounding counties also eliminates a reason for prospective new residents to choose to reside in another county over Lancaster. Not asking for something that everybody else is not already doing, and this would just align with the state of Virginia, what the state of Virginia's code is. If you can imagine, if you live on Indian Creek, if you're on the Lancaster side, you can build a whole lot less than your neighbor across Indian Creek on the Northumberland side. So just as a contractor, that's hard maybe to explain to our clients. I only see positive impacts if Lancaster aligns its residential dock ordinance with that of VMRC's. Seems like a relatively simple change that would have meaningful impact on local businesses and residents alike. And before I depart, just a quick change of subject. I wanted to thank the board for their efforts with the new schools. I've got 3 kids in the school system. The new facilities were needed. They're great, they're appreciated, and it will make a difference. I also own local businesses. We're going to get people to this area, going to retain employees, schools, number one. So thank you for the effort you've put in so far, and I hope you can keep the momentum going. Appreciate your time. Thank you. Have a good night.
Micah Stevens, Lively Civic Group. And you have someone else with you?
Yes, Carlos Hernandez.
Okay, he's going to speak.
We're just here to introduce ourselves. We created a little group up in Lively. It's a civic group, and we're doing projects and volunteer projects to make the neighborhood a nicer and better place to live and work. I brought a slide presentation, but with the time constraint, I think what I'll do is just pass it on to you. But I'd like to talk to you about a couple things. So what we've been doing is digging out sidewalks. So we have a group, we're digging them out, we're cutting the curbs, we're cleaning the place up. We'd like to invite you to help us with some of that, some of the jobs that are too big for us. When the sidewalks were first poured in Lively, they were very nice. They were all exposed aggregate sidewalks, and now they're in a lot of disrepair. And we were hoping to get on the radar so someone could come and talk with us and we could show them what we're talking about. Or again, I have the photos for you. But if there's some way we could work together to improve that. The other kind of challenge that we have is it's very dirty there because of the runoff. So we were hoping we could accelerate the street cleaning. So that's, and I just want to also say that our group is planning events. We're bringing back the Christmas parade, Lively Days. We're going to have outdoor movies. So we're just trying to make it a better place. And we want to, A, have you know about us, and B, we'd like to invite you to help us improve it over there. So that's it.
All right.
Okay. Thank you very much, and thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. Okay. Does anyone else in the audience like to speak? Oh, okay. Mr. Cox.
Mr. Chairman, just for the audience's benefit, if you want to speak on the budget, that's a separate time to speak. So this is public input. This is about anything that's not scheduled for public hearing later tonight.
Howard Kaiser, District 3, still don't have internet access, broadband access, nothing. Haven't been approached by anybody, hadn't got a phone call from anybody, hadn't got a letter by anybody, nothing. Just thought I'd give you a quick update.
All right, thank you, sir.
I'll take care of that.
Oh, wait a minute, Bob. 2 minutes and 45 seconds. Here's a little note. I had a doctor's appointment Monday. When we finished and I was leaving the office, he said, "I'll send you your blood results on your my chart." I said, "No, that won't work. I live in Lancaster County." Man, he couldn't believe that I didn't have access yet in almost May 2024 in Lancaster County, Virginia. Any help you can get, anybody can push it a little bit. Me or my neighbor doesn't have it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
My name's John Arsenault, live in Lancaster County, over off of Devil's Bottom Road, there in Laurel Point. My comments tonight are basically from last week's newspaper. I was here about several months ago when the tax rate went up, the evaluations went up, the tax rate stayed the same. My tax bill for my property went up almost 50%. And I found out I was one of the lucky people because there was neighbors, there was over 60%. So now, after all of this stuff, I'm supposed to feel happy because my bill only went up 29%. And the money that's being spent on the school here, the $74 million that started out at 64, became 74 when inflation and all that stuff was dialed in, has a throughput of 100 students, give or take. We got 11,000 people in the county to pay for it, 8,000 are working. And the tax bill is enormous, and you're not doing justice to the students that go through, because the 100 that come out, the first thing they do is leave. They leave because this panel here hasn't provided anything for them to stay here for in the line of work. You should have taken that money instead of spending this, state-of-the-art Northern Virginia school and brought business and industry, and we got a lot of open land out here. We could put in all kinds of small factories, call centers, things like that, that could employ people and have a reason for the students to stay here. What have they got? There's nothing here. Another point on the school budget, also from the last week's paper, it shows here that this year's school budget went up 12.8%. Well, I'm a retired Marine and, fought in Vietnam and a bunch of other places. But my beer math tells me that in 8 years, that makes a 100% increase on the school budget. And this is what you all are planning, and I don't know what in the heck you're thinking, but you're not doing the service to the people that are paying all the bills. I'll just say that. Last point, I came home from Vietnam, went to Alaska for 30 years, a state 2.5 times the size of Texas, 700,000 people, no state income tax, no state sales tax. This year, every man, woman, and child in that state gets $200 or $2,000 from the state back to them. And then I come here and I look at this mess, and I'm going, what in the heck happened? And Mr. Bellows, thank you for being the one vote against the increase of the school budget.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
I'm Jim Thomas. I've been a resident of Lancaster County since 1997. I'll never be a born here, but I've been here too long to be a come here. I'm now a been here. And when we were here a few months ago, Chairman, you said that this tax rate would be adjusted so it would equalize with the assessment. According to the paper, that didn't happen. I just don't understand how reasonable people, and I consider you all reasonable people. I've known Mr. Bellows for a long time. He educated my daughter at Lancaster High School. Can feel comfortable with a 29% increase in property tax with all the other inflation that's going on, and many of us that are come here's or been here's are here because we're retired. And for every $1,000 that we pay in property tax, you're asking for $300 more basically. Now, you made the comment a few months ago that, hey, we're having to live with this ourselves, and you are, okay? But how do you justify that? Food's gone up, gasoline's gone up, every expense that any of us paid has gone up in this time period. And I've been here 27 years, and I've never seen a 29% increase in property tax rate in 1 year. How do reasonable people justify that? I don't understand. And I think you need to put some thought into this. If you come back and say 8 or 10%, you know, that hurts, but it's not 29%. And I would ask you to rethink this. I see you're withdrawing the budget. And rethink this strongly, because you're going to get to the point that retired people can't afford this. Thank you for thinking about this.
Thank you, sir. All right. Anyone else in the audience like to speak? Anybody online? No, sir. Okay. Public input session is now closed. We're moving along to VDOT.
How's everybody this afternoon?
Good.
I think David sent you all a report, and
Your time's up.
all right, see y'all. Just a couple things to add. Davis Mill, the rural rustic, was supposed to be paved today, and I don't think that happened. And it may happen tomorrow, but it's probably going to be the first of the week. And we do have a street sweeper. We've had it this week, and we had a mandatory safety training for a couple days, so missed out a couple days. But I think we have done half of Lively. The plan is to finish that up tomorrow. And then starting at midnight Monday morning, we're going to work from midnight till 8 o'clock, like in Kilmarnock and all, where it's congested and there's a lot of people parking and stuff, so we can get that knocked out. And if I have enough people during the day, I probably will run it during the day in other places just to get as much as we can done next week. Other than that, just normal maintenance, and I guess I haven't heard when we're gonna start mowing or anything, but I'm assuming, you know, probably end of the month or so, we should be looking at that. I know the secondary, we did use the PGR on the primary, and that seems to be working pretty well, but the secondaries are starting to grow, so I will let y'all know on that.
Any questions, comments? Gentlemen?
Thank you for sweeping the village of Weems. It looks good.
Yeah, we had a couple work orders, especially coming out, and they
Yeah.
should have shoveled that and got that straight. I have not had a chance to go down and check.
They
on it,
did.
So,
Looks good.
all right.
Okay,
Can I ask a question about the
street sweeping.
The frequency in Lively, like how often is that scheduled?
We get it, it's a rental thing, and, you know, as y'all hear about funding and stuff, we're limited also. And we typically get it at least once a year, sometimes maybe twice a year. And we have quite a bit of curb and gutter and, you know, to do throughout the county. So we try to try to get as much as we can. That's why I'm gonna try to run it, 16 hours a day next week to get as much done as we can.
Okay, all right. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for that.
Mhm. Thank you. Mhm.
All right, y'all have a good evening.
All right. Okay. Presentations.
Mr. Chairman, our first presentation tonight was to be an update on Greenville Creek activity. As you know, from time to time, longtime Greenville Creek resident Milton Conrad comes and gives you an update on the economic activity in the creek with all of the oyster boats and things, and we'll, tell you the status of the channel, when dredging may be needed. He called late this afternoon and said he wasn't going to be able to make the meeting tonight, so we'll have him come at a later date.
All right, good. Public Schools, Ms. Davis, Mr. Pittman.
Glenn, give me PC2.
And the quick and easy way to do this would be to tell you that we've moved a lot of dirt over the past month. But I figured you were owed a little bit more than that. So we put together a quick presentation for you tonight to let you know what's happening over at the school job site. Next one. Yeah. We had a meeting yesterday. This is a quick 2-week look ahead for what's happening on the site from Branch. One of the big things they're going to do is install a drain pipe, and I'll show more about that in the next few slides. It's a pipe that runs from Dreamfields into the property. Branch doesn't know it, but I'm very proud of that pipe. It's doing a very good job. I was the project manager on that particular project as well, so it's a lot of water that comes from Dreamfields into the new site, so they're just redirecting that water. Next few things will be installing a trailer pad on the site and putting in a new loop road to get to that. Right now, they got the trailers kind of close to the maintenance road that goes to Northern Neck Mechanical. That'll get moved further towards the center of the site.
Next.
Yep. We completed phase 1 of the site work. They've moved into phase 2. This is a complicated cut-up version. Basically, what you can see is the parking lot starting to take shape. You can see the outline of where the school's going to go. And there's some other key things that are on this, but it just gives you the indication that they've moved into the second phase of the project.
Thanks.
This picture was taken about a month ago. I think I showed it at the last meeting, a drone shot that we took of the site work. And I believe the next slides are updated. This was taken last week when the weather was pretty decent, enough to get a drone shot. And it just, again, it shows you some of the development. You can see sort of what's happening there in the center of the picture. A lot of that dirt's being moved from where the football field will eventually go towards the center of the site to get that all up to grade. And the retaining ponds are in. I did ask Branch if next time they could make those a little clear, that the ponds show real poorly in this with the mud kind of going into there. But the sediment basins are doing what they're supposed to, Olivia, so we're staying on top of those. I can get to the next slide. So yeah, this is where the water off of Dreamfields flows into the property. So this is why this is so important to the project, where that first star is located. I believe the next star that'll come up on the screen is where the drain for that will eventually get connected. And you can tell from this how that's that's a pretty big problem for them now. So getting this drain pipe put in place is an important step in the project. I can get to the next slide. That's how that pipe will be laid. So it kind of gives you indication where that is in reference to the track and the football field and to that drain pipe.
Is this a known, or is this something that was discovered along the way? Is this something we knew about from the start?
We knew this the whole time, yeah. There's a lot of stormwater things that go into these projects, and that's, but I have learned we want to take care of these now. Now is the time
make sure we've got all this taken care of. So, yes, this is all. And what's interesting about this, it doesn't show real well on this drawing, Jason, that the football field and the track will have a lot of drainage in there as well that'll connect into that pipe. So all that water is being accounted for as well. The fact that the pond was existing on the site was a big benefit to the county. That saved us a lot of money. One of the key things that's going to happen over the next month, and you'll be able to see it from the road, this is what they call level 0 of the school. This is the backside. I liken it to a walkout basement in a house. That's what it's going to be. And this retaining wall, I believe if you click on the next slide, that's what the branch is referring to as a retaining wall. So they'll be setting up the forms and getting the concrete poured on that wall starting next month. It'll probably take a few months to get that taken care of. But I liken it to, back to my boat building days, laying the keel. So this is sort of the centerpiece of the building and an important step in the process of, starting to get this thing underway. So Jason asked last time, at the last meeting, about when concrete start being poured, late next month, I would imagine. So, any more questions?
Questions, gentlemen? Statements? Okay, thanks for keeping us updated.
Thank you.
All right. Now we're moving on into public hearing again. This is where you have a chance to state what's on your mind concerning the topics that we're going to be talking about. You're going to have 3 minutes to state that. As I said before, you can say a lot in 3 minutes, get right to the point. At the end of 2, I will raise up this sign letting you know you have 1 minute left. And we get ready to open that up. All right, so Mrs. Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have for you all tonight an application for a special exception by Selco Partnership Verizon Wireless to site a 150-foot monopole wireless telecommunications tower and associated fenced equipment compound on a portion of a 39.58 acre parcel described as tax map number 35-110. This property is located adjacent to Little Bay Road, Blue Heron Lane, and Dungeons Thicket in District 3. As evidenced by the attached application, narrative, and site plan, the applicant has complied with the requirements of Article 25, siting of wireless telecommunication facilities. This Verizon Wireless Tower will enhance wireless communication services in the Tabbs Creek, Little Bay area of Whitestone, including the following: those living, working, and vacationing in the greater Tabbs Creek, Little Bay area, and those boating and working on the Chesapeake Bay and the Rappahannock River. The tower will accommodate a total of 6 carriers and will be strategically sited within an existing stand of mature trees on the property and has been located as far back as possible from the right-of-way and adjacent properties to reduce visibility. The application package includes a detailed visual impact assessment on the proposed tower location. Setback distances from adjoining parcels exceed the height of the tower, which would enable the structure to be contained on the property in the unlikely event of collapse. The application package also includes visual simulations from various locations within close proximity of the proposed tower, as well as confirmation from the Virginia Department of Historic Resources that there will be no adverse effects on historic properties. This issue has been advertised and adjoining property owners notified as required by law. The required balloon test was conducted on November 5th, 2023. To date, there has been no input from adjoining property owners or other interested members of the public. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Gentlemen, or fellow board members, you have any questions of Mrs. Hall or any statements you want to make before I open it up to the floor? Okay. At this particular time, I'll hear comments on this particular matter from the floor. And since this is the latest proposing things and helping with things, I don't have a time limit on her. All right.
Okay. Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board. My name for the record is Lisa Murphy. I am zoning counsel for Verizon Wireless, and I'm here tonight, as Ms. Hall indicated, requesting a special exception application or permit so that Verizon Wireless can construct a 150-foot monopole telecommunications tower with a 4-foot lightning rod. So it will be a monopole design, and it will not be marked or lit. As the application indicates, the preliminary feedback is that no FAA lighting would be required on the tower. As Ms. Hall, and she did an excellent job really giving you an overview of the application, this tower, as some of you know, is going to be critical really to providing more robust coverage in this part of the county, in the Tabbs Creek, Little Bay area of Whitestone. When we put out the application notice in the newspaper and then sent letters to the adjoining property owners, the feedback I got was, we really need it, is it going to cover me? And so it should be able to cover most of the area down Little Bay Road and the surrounding area along the Rappahannock and the Chesapeake Bay. That was one of the questions that I got from folks is, I'm out on the water, is this going to cover me? And, this is something that I started doing this 20 years ago, zoning wireless facilities. And at that point, it was really a nice to have, not a have to have. In 2009, the statistics were that 16% of people were wireless only at home. Now, fast forward to 2022, 2023, that number is over 70%. So this is really critical infrastructure, as you all know. And fortunately, it's infrastructure that Verizon Wireless is willing to invest in the county, and not something that the board has to pay for out of the budget and through taxes. So it really has become, especially with COVID, something that's essential, an essential service for folks. I know we heard from a gentleman who said that broadband was an issue. Wireless will help. It's not going to solve all the problems in the county, but it's certainly going to help in this particular area. As the application indicates, Verizon Wireless, like any of the other carriers, when they find that they have a need for enhanced coverage, they're going to look for anything tall in the area because it's cheaper, it's faster, it's nowhere near as capital intensive as building a new tower. And so they searched the area. The closest tower at 1.62 miles to the northwest, they're already on. There is a tower that's 2.3 miles further away to the southwest, and that really wouldn't do anything for this particular area. And that's how really we ended up here. As was indicated, the proposed location takes advantage of some mature vegetation. It's also set back enough off the road that it really, as you look at the balloon test photographs, the impact, given the height and the design with the 150-foot stainless steel colored monopole, is going to have a limited impact on the area from a visual standpoint. When you look, or when a wireless carrier determines that they have a need for a site to hang their antennas on, they're looking for a property that's very large. This one's just about 40 acres where they can meet the setbacks. They have to satisfy the state code requirements. They have to go through a federal regulatory process, and then they have to work with the locality to find a location that fits within the zoning ordinance. And we feel as though this site really achieves all of those confluent interests in finding a site that has the best impact and the best enhancement of service for Verizon customers. The tower will be built, as was indicated in the report, for up to 6 users. So that would be Verizon, and then any of the other interested carriers gives them an opportunity to provide service as well. And one thing I can tell you about wireless is, you've probably seen it on, just watching television, competition is intense for customers. So once Verizon has an opportunity to provide coverage, you'll start to see the others do the same thing as well. So it's not just going to benefit Verizon customers. For all of these reasons, and as indicated in the staff report and in the application, we respectfully request that you grant this special exception permit, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you all might have.
Any questions?
Well, as long as I can call Jim Conwell, now he lives in Dungeon Thickets.
I live at the end of Dungeon Thicket, which is, I love to say that.
But I think I'll be able to use my cell phone in my house without having to go out in the
This should
driveway.
really help improve your service, yes. And I say that assuming you're a Verizon customer.
I am a Verizon customer.
You're gonna have to move now, Jim.
And
To another non-
when I switched my service, landline service from residential to business, they told me they had to cut the residential service off, make the switch. Well, 2 months later, they cut it back on. So I was out in the car, in the driveway, using my cell phone. So
Yeah.
hopefully that won't happen.
It's, that's, like I said, I've been doing this for over 20 years, and before, the reaction was more along the lines of, we don't want it. The reaction that we get now is, how soon can you build it? When are you going to be here? Yeah. So just like any big organization, Verizon has a budget, and they've budgeted this in the 2025 build plan. So they still have to go through site plan review, and
I'll
so
have my wife call you.
it won't happen. That's the funny thing about advertising balloon tests and sending out notices. Everybody in Virginia has my cell phone number, so she can feel free to reach out to me directly. It's very accessible information to the public.
All right. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. O'Shaughnessy? Now, you have 3 minutes.
Pardon me?
Now, you have 3 minutes.
Well, good evening, gentlemen. Nice to see everyone. I'm not sure you even need to hear my comments after the woman that spoke before me, but I'm just here to support this tower. I live about, a mile from the proposed site of this tower, and our coverage is just awful. So, Mr. Cornwell, I live down Clark Point,
Yes.
down that way.
Yes.
I'm reminded of Eddie Albert in Green Acres. I got to climb up the telephone pole to make a call. I mean, I literally have to go outside on certain days. It depends upon the clouds and whether or not there are leaves on the trees as to whether or not I can make a phone call. But seriously, I think it's really a public health issue, and I'll tell you why. First week in November, we were asleep. It was midnight. I woke up and I knew something wasn't right. And I wasn't sure what it was. Long story short, I passed out twice, busted my head all up. Again, it's midnight. My wife is freaking out. We had no idea what was going on. Turns out I got bit by a tick. So if you've ever heard of alpha-gal, I can tell you all about it. But it put me in anaphylactic shock. And it was a serious health problem that, just hit me totally out of the blue. But my point is, my wife was on the phone with 911 twice. The call got disconnected. It got dropped. I mean, that's the kind of cell coverage we have. She finally says, can you possibly make it to the car? And I'm, whatever. Sure, I'll get there, So I made it to the car. She rushes me to RGH. I was in the ER for 7 hours. It was a really serious issue for me that could have, I was able to get to the car. We have a lot of folks in our neighborhood who are older and maybe couldn't get to the car. Again, with cell phone coverage being what it is, she called twice. The calls got dropped. So I just ask that you give that consideration. If you have any reservation about this poll, we need it.
All right.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
sir. Thank you. Anyone else? Audience? Online? Oh, come on, sir.
I just have a quick question for Verizon.
Come on up.
The new cell tower on Weems Road,
We need you on here so you can be recorded.
You know the drill, Bruce.
I'm Bruce Julian, District 5. Bill Smith, that's been over. You guys have got a new cell tower on Weems Road that's been up for several months now. Started before COVID. All the underground went in. Finally, the tower's up. We'd like to know when that might go active.
Well, I would say if it's up now and if they've stacked the tower, it should be pretty soon now.
I'm waiting for more than one bar.
Anyone else from the audience? Anyone online? All right. Public hearing is now closed. I'd entertain a motion.
Well, considering how bad 5G coverage is in this county, anything we can do to improve it is a good thing. So I move that we approve this special exception.
Gentlemen, you've heard the motion. All in favor said aye. Aye. Unanimous vote. It passes. Okay.
And it's the first visuals of towers I've seen taken on blue sky days that we've got.
Yeah. All right. Proposed fiscal year 25 county budget. Mr. Gill.
Mr. Chairman, just for the public's benefit, public hearing number 2 was withdrawn by the applicant, the New Tides LLC. They're fine-tuning some things, and they'll come back at a future meeting. The FY25 draft budget is before you tonight for public hearing. By state code, you cannot take any action tonight. State code requires that you wait at least 7 days before you take any action on the budget with or without modification. You have previously scheduled your regular May meeting, May 30th at 7 p.m. as a date and time for adoption of the proposed budget with or without modification. The budget is a result of 6 work sessions that you all have had this year. So I'm not going to go into a tremendous amount of detail on this, but it is based on a proposed tax rate of 55 cents. That's what you all directed me to advertise. So what that means for the general public is you all can adopt something less than 55. You just can't adopt anything over 55. And having said that, I'll just give you Richmond County, by the way, is in the same boat that Lancaster is. Richmond County just went through a reassessment during 2023. It was performed by a different firm, not the same firm that did Lancaster's reassessment. Their average increase was 31%. Lancaster's average increase was 41%. Richmond County's current tax rate is 70 cents. Lancaster's is 63. Richmond County's equalized rate is 54, and they are proposing a tax rate of 60 cents. So if you all adopt 55 or less, you'll still have the lowest tax rate in the Northern Neck. Currently, Northumberland is at 61 and Westmoreland is at 62. So having said that, and just there was a couple of comments during public input about tax rates. Tonight is not the public hearing for the tax rate, it's the public hearing for the budget. Anytime you have a general reassessment and the board anticipates adopting a tax rate that is more than 101% of the equalized rate, you have to have a separate public hearing. For the tax rate, we always have a separate public hearing because Lancaster sets its tax rate by ordinance. And an ordinance amendment requires a public hearing. So you all will have your tax rate public hearing at your May 30th meeting as well. The equalized rate based on Lancaster's reassessment was 44 cents. And you all directed me, as I said, to advertise 55 cents. Based on that 55-cent tax rate, there would be a 24.8% increase in just the real estate tax revenue over FY24. Overall revenue for FY25 versus FY24 shows a 14% increase. Couple of large items under the expenditures. There was the 12.8% increase in the school board budget, which you all approved on April the 11th. And there was quite an increase in annual debt service because of the first payment on the $60 million general obligation school bond note for the construction of the new combination middle school, high school complex. Overall, total expenditures will increase 16.3% in FY25 over FY24. And as I said, this is a result of 6 budget work sessions that you've had beginning January 25th, I believe it was, at that meeting. So, as I said tonight, is to take comment on this. You cannot take any action tonight. This issue has been advertised as required by law, and I did receive one comment, one written comment. That comment was in support of this budget.
All right. Gentlemen, before I open it up to the audience, public, do you have any comments or statements? All right, okay. Public hearing is now open on the budget. Remember, you still have the 3-minute time limit. At the end of 2 minutes, I will raise up this sign letting you know you have 1 minute left. Is there anyone who wants to speak? Oh, come on, sir, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll be very short here. Listening to the, Mr. Gill, going through the structure of how this, the analysis and everything. As a resident here, I really don't care what the other counties are doing. They can run their rate up to a 70, 80%, cents. It doesn't matter. Just saying that I'm supposed to feel good because I got a 29% increase because it could have been more. I mean, that just doesn't work. And I just hope you all can just kind of, I don't know, figure out a way to be more financially responsible to the people that are paying the bills. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right. Mr. Bradford, Mike?
My name is Mike Bradford, and I've been here since 2018 as a property owner. And just since 22, my assessment's gone up 50%. And I just want to put in a word for the lower rate. I'd like to see the 44, not the 55. But I do understand the job you all have to do and fund the budget. But as some of the other guys have said, it's just really tough to do it seemingly all at once. And I did want to also second the things that Anthony Marchetti said about the larger dock size. If y'all could see in y'all's decisions to enlarge those dock sizes for Lancaster County to meet the state's sizes, that would be great. But thank you for allowing me to be here, and I'm for those lower rates, so thank you.
Thank you. All right. Jody Nelson? Oh, yeah.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm one of those come-heres, but it's a 20-year come-here type of thing at this point. And I believe Mr. Gill inspected all of the things on our house when it was built about 13, 14 years ago. Like many of the rest of you here tonight, and many, many people around the county, I'm astounded and appalled at the huge increase in the tax assessments, not just the assessment, but the overall tax. And it doesn't matter what the rate is, it doesn't matter what the assessment is, it's an overall, you drop the rate and increase the assessment, and you still have a 30% increase in your taxes. I suppose it wouldn't be so bad if we thought about it as a 5-year increase and divided that 30% by the 5 years, it'd be 6% a year, possibly. I'm not sure exactly how you guys figure all of that stuff. I've got headlines from, I can't tell you, 6, 8 papers. Every time that I read the papers with all of the money that you guys are looking at putting towards the schools in particular, I don't know if anybody else doesn't do the math. Is everybody else doing the math? I do it every single time an article comes out. And it's looking like $8,000 per person, per every man, woman, and child in this county. Or it looks like maybe it's only $4,000 or $6,000 for whatever increase it is. I mean, I can go back, but it's going to take longer than 3 minutes to tell you every single one of these things. And I look at it and I think, okay, assuming we have roughly 10,000 people in this county, the last time I knew what the number was, it was 9,000 residents. I don't know if that counts me, because we still have a house in Fairfax. I don't know if that counts me. I would imagine it does not count most of the absentee owners that, you know, have lots and lots of value in their land. Every time I look at it, you've got to figure that half of the people in the county, I mean, some of them are children, so they're not contributing, they're not paying, we're taking care of them for their education. Other people are not bringing in much income. I'd really like to know if you know what the numbers are. Is it half of the people in the county that are carrying the weight of all of this stuff? Is it a third of the people in the county? And then to hear that people are leaving the county like crazy because there's nothing here. I talked to a couple of people with a lot of information, long-term information about this county and the salaries that we pay teachers. And apparently we're paying teachers a good salary to come here and work for 2 years, and then they're going back home to Pennsylvania because they need 2 years worth of experience before that. Is there some way to put this into more discussion with the public rather than just the things that come out in the newspaper? Is there some way to send everybody who's paying taxes this kind of information that says, okay, we got the assessments, but we don't know what it's going for when you send the assessments?
Thank you, ma'am.
There needs to be more communication.
Now, communication, we've been meeting all month, last month on the budget and discussing this, and it's been public forum, and people been coming in, they've been giving their comments and listening and so on, and coming back to us. So you should have known.
That's not direct communication
That
with
is
each
direct
taxpayer.
communication.
No,
Your taxpayer is sitting right out there now. You won, and you communicating with us right
That's
now.
right. But-
We have
but
the
you
same
didn't
thing for the
send-
budget process.
Okay,
Okay?
when I talk with people in the community, you have no idea how few people knew where the new high school was going to be located. No idea. It's the far southern end of the county.
We discussed that for a couple of years,
I know,
and
I
we
don't
had a little
understand
debate
why
up here about it.
Why they wouldn't know it. And then ask them about,
They're not paying attention, that's why they don't know it.
okay, so, you know, we need to have a more educated citizenry then.
Yeah.
So, and ask them about, are you going to the hearing tonight? Are you interested? Or it's like, well, I got something else to do. I didn't know it was happening tonight. Never mind that we've got, what's this, 8, 10 different weeks worth
So
of.
you need to be talking to them, not us.
I know, mostly you're talking to us through the newspaper.
We're talking to you right here.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's
but you
true.
don't come.
But we have 10,000 people in the county, maybe we have 7,000 adults in the county. They're not here. I don't know what kind of input they give you, but.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes, sir. I got you. And let me say this, as far as the county administrator just said, Mr. Gill, as far as talking about the tax rate, that's next month. Talk about the budget. That's what this public hearing is about, the budget. Okay, thank you. We coming to you.
Jim Thomas, I'm back again for just a second. The budget leads to the tax rate,
Correct,
correct?
correct.
So as you're considering the budget, I'll say one more time, reasonable people have to understand that many of us who's come here's or been here's are retired or on fixed income. We came to Lancaster County originally because it's a beautiful place. We love it here. We're fortunate. We're blessed to be here. But we can be taxed out of not being able to be here, okay? Insurance rates are going through the roof. We can be tax and insurance poor. Fixed income doesn't grow, especially in the environment we've been in, while inflation continues. I think it would be unreasonable to think that the residents of this county can absorb this kind of a tax increase at this moment in time. So while you're considering the budget, please take a look at this. And we'll come back on May 30th, and we'll resume this conversation. But hopefully, in the next month, as you're looking at the budget, you'll take a look at it and say, we can do this and this and this and this. And it was stated here that 16%, I think, was the budget increase or something like that. So maybe 29% tax rate isn't necessary, and maybe from 16% budget, maybe we can get it down to 10%. Maybe there's some things that you can do over the next month so that when we come back on May 30th, we can have a more reasonable discussion. And those of us that love it here can have a more reasonable conversation on where we're going in the future. Have a wonderful next month. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
And we don't mean to put pressure on you, but maybe a little bit. Have a good evening.
Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Costello?
Charlie Costello, District 2. I've been here 33 years. Still come here. Always will be. I know that.
That's what I was
And I'm
told.
also come here who spent a hell of a long time in here, and now I see you sometimes on virtual, which is a good way of doing it. But only by being here, not just now, but over the whole year's time, you understand what this is all about. These people here are the best board we've had for quite a while. If we had had this board, we would have had our schools built 20 years ago, when they really needed to be built. I was on the facilities committee, so was Bill and others, and we went around various places all over. We are sadly lacking with this. The young man about the boat, the docks, he's the future. His kids are the future. That's what we're building for. That's what we're looking for, to get people here. We talk about data centers. Well, who wants a data center instead of the farmland, instead of the other things here? You want to have industry? Sure. Let's have more pollution. Let's do all these things. This is a good budget. It went up because of the assessments. Why did the assessments go up? Because the sale of property around here went up. It didn't just come out of the air. If you went out and your price went up 50%, you probably can sell your house for more than that right now. So don't come back. And also, when you're talking about fixed income, the gentleman that's a Marine, I'm an Army, he's talking about Alaska. Where do they get their money? Why do they get refunds? Oil wells. Texas, oil wells. We don't have oil wells. You want to have oil wells here? Where are you? This is a good budget. We need it to be competitive with other people, and we need our schools, and we need our teachers. And I've been tutoring for 25, almost 30 years. Come on, let's tutor. Let's get out. Let's get into the schools. Let's help people. Let's not just say how much it's going to. And mine, it's probably about $10 a week. That's what mine went up. Take a look at how much you're doing. It isn't that much, my friends.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Yes, sir, Mr. Kaiser.
Now to come here, been here for since 1946. When the county was basically untouched and a whole lot better than it is today as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, what I want to discuss is the $20 million that you gave the schools. You guys have been generous. You've given the schools everything they want, and sometimes you give them more than they ask for, like you did in salaries not too long ago. I would like for you guys to ask yourself, are the numbers coming out of that school match your $20 million? Is that what you expect from the school? What you're getting, is that what you expect for $20 million is what I'm trying to say? Which is, I guess doing the math, is about $20,000 a kid. I don't know anybody spending that kind of money. Are you getting what you're paying for? I'm getting ready to get nailed on taxes, according to my appraisal. I'd like to see something for my money. Or if you think that's where we should be for $20 million, then tell me how you get there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Anybody online?
No, sir.
Okay. Public hearing is now, on the budget is now closed. And thank everyone for their comments.
I move for approval of the consensus docket.
You've heard that motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passed unanimously. All right. Now we're moving to consideration docket, salaries and invoices.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the salaries and invoices for April in the amounts of total invoices, $1,781,744.57, of which payroll was $431,747.87, for a total of $2,213,492.44, with capital improvements being $1,104,260.28, and ARPA funding of $75.58.
You've heard the motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Passed unanimously. All right. Resolution requesting a waiver. Mr. Gill.
Mr. Chairman, you heard Delegate Kent speak earlier tonight about a bill that she put forth in the General Assembly to ease the paperwork burden on requesting waivers for administering split voting precincts. And unfortunately, that didn't go through this year, but she said she would take it back next year. That leads into this consideration item. As long as we have towns in the county and the registrar is required to report for the town precincts as well, we're going to have split precincts according to State Board of Election guidance. So as a result, we need to request that waiver from the State Board of Elections to continue administering those split precincts for the 2024 elections and to remain in compliance with the Code of Virginia, Section 242307.
All right. You heard Mr. Gill. I entertain a motion.
I move that that waiver be granted.
All right. You heard the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimously passed. Next one is consideration of purchasing a replacement animal control vehicle. Mr. Gill.
Mr. Chairman, this item was not in the capital improvement budget list. That's why it's on your agenda. It's an out-of-cycle appropriation request. As you know, the Animal Control Department has 2 animal control officers. Ms. Lackert has a relatively new vehicle back in 2018. You authorized the purchase of the 2016 Ford F-150 that she currently drives. No problem with that, right around 80,000 miles. That vehicle replaced a 2001 Dodge that had about 132,000 on it, that had a bad rear end, and the parts, we couldn't get the parts for. Well, Animal Control Officer Jamie Abbott was able, over the course of several months, able to find the repair parts for that 01 Dodge and get it fixed so that it could be a backup to the 1996 Dodge that he drives all the time. And the 1996 Dodge that he drives has about 225,000 miles on it. That 1996 Dodge is right now sitting down at a repair shop awaiting repairs. And the 01 Dodge that he was driving caught on fire on April the 11th. Same night you all were here approving the school board budget And he was texting me by phone, telling me then that the vehicle was on fire and it was totaled. So he currently does not have a vehicle right now. He made the statement to me, maybe we could buy him another used vehicle. And I said, Jamie, I'm going to do my best to get you a new one this time. So I've got a quote for 2024 Ford F-250 XL. It's a basic Ford truck. It is 4x4 because with the job that they do, they need 4x4. It is also crew cab, which is 4 full-size doors. And Jamie prefers that because the amount of equipment, cages, weapons, and things that they have to carry, that backseat storage would be very useful to him. The bid is $52,283.48. That'll give the Animal Control Department 2 very reliable vehicles, and if we can repair that 96 Dodge economically, we will, and that could serve as a backup for that department.
Was that on state contract or did you bid it?
What's that?
Was that on state contract or did you bid it?
I bid it.
Okay.
It's actually under the state contract, under the contract price.
Sure.
Any questions, gentlemen, of Mr. Gill?
Almost put antique plates on those old ones.
All right, I
I'd like
entertain.
to point out that it was a Dodge that caught on fire and not a Ford.
All right, I'll go with you on that one. I entertain a motion.
I move that we purchase this Ford F-150 for the animal control officer.
Okay, and authorize the county administrator to execute it. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, passed unanimously. Okay, board reports. Gentlemen, you got something?
No, I was just going to say, what
Okay.
we was going to say, what do we need to do to push this thing that Anthony asked about?
That's the same thing I was gonna talk about, yeah. All right, so, do we want to consider this, what Anthony was talking about? Do we
I
wanna-
think we should
Okay.
consider it.
So we want to refer to.
I'm not sure why Native lubricant, it goes back before your time. I don't know why we was different. you know.
Well, and it was before my time, too. We've always had a limit on the L or T head on a residential pier of 250 square feet. State code allows 400 square feet. And Anthony was absolutely correct. All the other counties allow 400 square feet, but we have always only allowed 250 square feet.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, if I may, the state code was changed in 2006 from 250 to 400.
Okay.
So that was when that change was made in the state.
2006, you said?
Yeah.
Yes, it did used to be 250.
Yeah.
in the
Is this something
state
that's
code.
gonna go back to the planning commission?
It is, yes, because it is zoning ordinance, so it needs to go back to the planning commission. And you all may remember, a few years ago, the planning commission actually talked about this, but they decided not to recommend it. So it does, this is a zoning ordinance amendment, so it does need to go through the planning commission. But if it's the board's wish,
Can we send it with a directive?
yeah, you send it with a directive to make the change to adhere to, or conform to state code.
All right, you want to make that a motion or something?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So moved.
Okay. All right.
What was so moved?
That we send,
Yes, no.
oh,
we're good.
okay.
All
We're
right,
good.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimously passed. All right, good. All right, further board reports?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, yes, sir.
it is with extreme joy and pleasure and all them adjectives that I nominate Ms. Mara Palin to the Board of Social Service Board.
Hope she's watching.
And I'm sure she's happy, as you are.
There's no conflict there.
Oh, I've discussed it, yeah, that.
You're saying I hope there is, but it's not.
Yeah. All right, y'all heard the board report, the nomination, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, that's 4, passed.
And the chairman, Ms. Palin, you are abstaining from
Yes,
participating in
Yeah.
the discussion or the vote?
right. All right, so one, well, yeah, there were 4,
You said
and 1
4.
abstained. Okay. I'd like to reappoint Andy Vini to the Board of Zoning Appeal. All right, all in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
All right, pass unanimously, 5 votes. Any others? All right. County Administrator report.
Mr. Chairman, it is with much pleasure that I inform you that on Monday of this week, the Windmill Point Marina deed of perpetual public access easement was recorded. And I'm very pleased to report that today I had Mr. Edward Brewer, who's here now, come to see me at about 3 o'clock this afternoon and bring me all of the associated documents from the Landing Homeowners Association that we believe will be required to close that deed of perpetual public access easement as well. So I'll be providing those to the title agency, and as soon as they can review them and give me a closing date, we'll get that one ironed out as well. We also signed the contract with Docks of the Bay after the marina easement was recorded, but because it's been several months, their attorney has requested a few changes. So once we get those changes back in written form, Mr. Cornwell will review them and let us know.
I point out that Docks of the Bay contract was their contract. And they now have some changes to their contract.
Well, Bay Design actually created it, but yeah, that.
I didn't write it.
Yeah, no, that's right. So there is movement on that front. So, and we also had Army Corps of Engineers on site at Windmill Point today to talk about waiving that time of year restriction for the tiger beetle. And they were there taking pictures, and so that's being worked on as well. Because that time of year restriction goes from May 15th to, is it October 15th or November 1st?
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll call a few more lawyers and it'll be October.
I didn't make a comment for publication. I would also point out, I received an email while I was sitting here from the attorney for Stay the Course, and he promised me a draft lease last week, but now he's promised me a draft lease for Monday. So when I get that, we'll see where we go.
All right. And just want to give you a brief update on the Board of Equalization. They have held 8 meetings to date. They have one more meeting scheduled on May 21st. Don't have through 6 of those meetings. There's been a total of 133 hearings, 15 no changes, 4 increases, and the balance of them were decreases. So that's ongoing. They actually met today, and as I said, they have one more meeting scheduled May 21st. Of course, they're seated through the end of the year, and they could have other meetings as well. So I think that's all I got for right now.
All right, good. Gentlemen, unless you have something else to say, I'd entertain a motion. To
I
adjourn.
move that we adjourn.
All right, motion has been made to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion adjourned.